The call came in while I was watching the storm coverage on mute. Unknown number. Late. I almost let it ring out. Something made me pick it up. Ethan? I hadn't heard my mother say my name like that in years. Soft. Careful. Like she wasn't sure she still had the right. I leaned back in my chair, eyes still on the TV where the radar showed a thick spiral swallowing half the coastline. Yeah, I said. Who's this? A pause. Then a shaky exhale. It's Mom. I didn't respond right away. Not because I didn't recognize her voice. I did. It was just thinner now. Like something had been scraped out of it. In the background, I could hear wind. Not through a window, out in the open. People talking. Someone coughing. We lost the house, she said. Everything. We've been staying at a shelter. Your father, he's not doing great. I nodded slowly, even though she couldn't see me. Okay. Another pause. Longer this time. We were hoping, her voice dipped. We were hoping we could come stay with you. Just for a little while. Until we figure things out. There it was. Not an apology. Not a "we're sorry." Just a request. I watched the radar swirl, silent and perfect. Funny how storms always look cleaner from a distance. Let me think about it, I said. And just like that, I was back there. The last time I saw them before the hurricane, I was standing in the driveway holding a duffel bag that felt heavier than it should have. The sky had already turned that weird gray-green color. The kind that makes everything look like it's underwater. My father was loading the SUV. Fast. Efficient. Like he'd done it 100 times. Get your things, he said, not looking at me. We're leaving in 10. I held up the bag. This is it. He finally glanced over, eyes narrowing slightly. That's all? I shrugged. Didn't think I'd need much. He didn't like that answer. You could tell by the way his jaw tightened. My mother was in the passenger seat already, scrolling through her phone, refreshing the evacuation updates like it might change something. I walked up to the car, heart doing that slow, uncomfortable thing it always did around them. Where are we heading? I asked. North, my father said. Away from the coast. Hotels already booked. I nodded. Okay. I'll grab my charger and... You're not coming. It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. Just, flat. I blinked. What? He shut the trunk with a firm push. We don't have space. I looked at the back seat. 2 empty spots. My brother's old baseball bag still sitting there like he might come back for it. There's room, I said. He shook his head. Not for extra weight. Car's already packed. Gas is tight. We're not making unnecessary stops. Unnecessary, I repeated. My mother didn't look up. I let out a short breath. I can drive myself then. Just follow you. Your car's not reliable, he cut in. You know that. It's fine for a few hours. It's not. There it was. That tone. Final. Dismissive. Like the conversation had already ended and I just hadn't caught up yet. I looked at my mom. Say something. She hesitated. Just for a second. Then she sighed. Ethan, you're an adult. You'll figure it out. There are shelters. Shelters. I nodded slowly. Right. Of course. My father slid into the driver's seat, already reaching for the ignition. Lock up before you go, he said. And don't wait too long. Storm's picking up. I stepped back as the engine started. Yeah, I said. Wouldn't want to be, unnecessary. He didn't respond. The SUV pulled out of the driveway, tires crunching over gravel, and then they were gone. Just like that. No drama. No shouting. Just a quiet decision. And a storm rolling in. I didn't go to a shelter. Not right away. I stayed in the house that night, sitting on the kitchen counter, watching the wind pick up through the window. There's something about being left behind that doesn't hit all at once. It settles in layers. First confusion. Then irritation. Then this slow, steady realization that, yeah, this tracks. This is who they've always been. I just finally stopped pretending it wasn't. Around midnight, the power flickered. That's when I grabbed my bag and left. The shelter was already crowded. Families huddled together. Kids wrapped in blankets. Volunteers moving around with clipboards and forced smiles. I found a spot near the wall and sat down. That's where I met Marcus. He was handing out water bottles, moving through the room like he actually saw people. Not just faces. People. You good? He asked, stopping in front of me. I shrugged. Depends on your definition. He smirked. Fair enough. He handed me a bottle. Storm's gonna be rough. But this place is solid. Built for it. Yeah, I said. I'll take your word for it. He nodded, then started to move on. Paused. Looked back. You here alone? Looks like it. He studied me for a second. Not in a weird way. Just observant. Stick close to this side, he said. Less foot traffic. Easier to get rest. Thanks. He gave a small nod and moved on. It wasn't much. Just a few words. But it was more than I'd gotten from my own family that day. The storm hit around 3 a.m. You don't really hear a hurricane at first. You feel it. The pressure. The way the building hums like it's holding its breath. Then the wind comes. Low. Deep. Like something dragging across the earth. People started whispering. Then praying. Then going quiet again. I sat there, back against the wall, listening. Not scared. Not really. Just aware. Of where I was. Of how I got there. Of who wasn't. Marcus checked in a few times. Made sure the doors were secured. That everyone had what they needed. At one point, he dropped down beside me, arms resting on his knees. You ever been through one of these? He asked. I shook my head. First time. He nodded. They pass. Always do. I glanced at him. You sound pretty sure. He smiled, just a little. Been through worse. Something in the way he said it made me believe him. We sat there for a while, listening to the storm try to rewrite the world outside. It passed. They always do. The next morning, the air felt different. Heavy, but quiet. The damage was everywhere. Trees down. Power lines snapped. Roads blocked. But the shelter held. Marcus was outside, coordinating cleanup crews, talking to people like they mattered. I helped where I could. Moving debris. Carrying supplies. At some point, he asked what I did for work. Nothing steady, I said. Been figuring things out. He nodded like that made sense. You're good with people. Ever thought about operations? I laughed. I'm good at staying out of the way. Same skill, he said. Different angle. That was the first time someone reframed me like that. Not as a problem. As potential. I didn't leave after that. Not right away. 1 week turned into 2. Then a month. Marcus got me a temporary role helping coordinate relief efforts. Then a permanent one when things stabilized. Turns out, I was good at it. Not the loud parts. Not the speeches or the big decisions. The quiet stuff. Seeing where things were about to break before they did. Connecting people who didn't realize they needed each other. Listening. It adds up. 2 years later, I was running operations for the entire region. 3 years after that, I was sitting in an office with a view of the same coastline that had once tried to erase me. Funny how that works. And now they were calling. From a shelter. Same kind I'd sat in. Same kind they'd told me to go to. Let me think about it, I'd said. And I did. Not out of anger. Not even out of spite. Just clarity. Marcus came by later that night. He'd heard about the call. News travels fast in our line of work. They want to stay with you? He asked, leaning against the doorframe. Yeah. He nodded slowly. And? I haven't decided. He studied me for a second. You already know what you're gonna do. I gave a small smile. Do I? Yeah, he said. You're just making sure it's the right version of it. That sounded about right. I looked out at the water, calm and distant. They didn't even apologize, I said. Marcus shrugged. Some people don't know how. Or don't think they need to. That too. I nodded. So what does that mean for me? He pushed off the doorframe. Means you get to decide what kind of man you are. Not what kind of son they deserve. He paused at the door. Just don't confuse kindness with access, he added. They're not the same thing. Then he left. And that line stuck with me. Kindness isn't access. I called them back the next morning. My father answered this time. Ethan, he said, voice tight. We weren't sure you'd. I can help, I said, cutting him off gently. Silence. Okay, he said. Good. That's good. There's a housing program we run, I continued. Short-term units. Structured support. It's designed for situations like yours. Another pause. Different this time. You mean, a shelter? No, I said. A step up from that. Private rooms. Case management. It's stable. We were hoping to stay with you, my mother's voice came in, softer but edged now. I know. And? I took a breath. Not deep. Just enough. That's not something I'm comfortable with. The silence that followed was louder than any storm. After everything, my father said slowly, you're turning us away. I almost smiled at that. After everything, I echoed. I'm making sure you're taken care of. That's not the same. No, I agreed. It's not. My mother tried a different angle. We're family, Ethan. Yeah, I said. We are. Another pause. And this is what I can offer. It wasn't harsh. It wasn't cold. It was just, clear. They didn't like it. I could hear it in the way my father's breathing changed. In the way my mother stopped. Trying to soften things. But they didn't argue. Because deep down, they knew. This was more than they'd given me. I arranged everything. Got them into one of our better units. Made sure they had what they needed. I didn't visit right away. Gave it a week. When I finally did, they looked smaller. Not physically. Just less certain. The room was clean. Simple. Functional. My mother stood up when I walked in. Hi, she said. Hey. My father nodded from the chair. Place is decent. Glad to hear it. We stood there for a moment, three people who shared a history but not much else anymore. You've done well for yourself, my mother said finally. I shrugged. I found something that fits. She nodded. We always knew you would. That one almost made me laugh. But I let it pass. Do you need anything? I asked. My father shook his head. We're managing. Good. I turned to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, I said, not looking back, the shelter you're in now, it holds up pretty well in a storm. Silence. Then my mother's voice, quiet. I'm sorry. I stopped. Just for a second. Not because I needed it. But because it mattered that she said it. I nodded once, then walked out. People like to think justice is loud. That it comes with speeches and slammed doors and some big, cinematic moment where everything balances out. It doesn't. Not usually. Sometimes it's just alignment. Where things land exactly where they were always heading. No drama. No noise. Just quiet, undeniable truth. They chose themselves that day. And I chose myself now. And somehow, that felt like enough.